Hi guys, Remy here again with another video. In this episode, we will be revisiting the iPhone 6 Plus which was released in September 2014 and will be turning 5 years this September. The iPhone 6 Plus is Apple's first jump into the large display game. Well, technically, in today's standards, 5.5-inch display is already a regular size, but back in 2014, it was what paved way for big smartphones in the market. As we all know, even if they do not pioneer some ideas or inventions, Apple is still responsible for a majority of the mainstream trends in smartphones. Also, we will be talking about the infamous iPhone 6 Plus that blew up in 2014. So let's get right into it. First is its display. It packs a 5.5-inch IPS LCD display with 16 by 9 aspect ratio with 401 pixel per inch density. For a lot of people, this is inferior to newer displays, but I think of it otherwise. Let me give my 2 cents to this. Having an IPS LCD display is in no way inferior to having an AMOLED display, as far as longevity is concerned. The thing is, AMOLED screens are more vibrant and more punchy, having darker blacks due to its individual pixels lighting up, which means when there are pure blacks shown, those pixels automatically turned off, which saves energy. Contrary to AMOLED displays, the IPS LCD display of the iPhone 6 Plus is backlit and lights up the whole screen, which is the nature of LCD display. It is less vibrant, less punchy, and because it is backlit, it has somewhat a white or light effect, making it less saturated than AMOLED displays. But the thing is, over the course of time, AMOLED displays degrade over time, which means individual pixels fade and die, especially in areas always turned on, compared to areas with minimal displays shown. Basically, over the course of time, it will experience inevitable AMOLED burn. It will show shapes and figures of overly used programs, even when you are not using them. This will not happen to LCD displays as it is backlit, and to think the iPhone 6 Plus display is no slouch and is more than enough for longevity, especially with people who want to keep their phone for a long time. An LCD display is better because AMOLED screens are inevitably going to experience AMOLED burns over the course of time. Additionally, the screen of the iPhone 6 Plus is 16 by 9 aspect ratio, or 2 to 1. This might be outdated as a lot of displays are more narrow and taller, like 18 by 9 or 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio. While this might be arguably better for one-hand use, having a 16 by 9 aspect ratio like the iPhone 6 Plus is not hard to use one hand. And what I like about it personally is media consumption. Watching videos on a 16 by 9 aspect ratio is the golden standard for videos and media. Having a taller aspect ratio gives you black borders on both sides, which is a bummer. This might be resolved through pinch to zoom features, but the effect is that there will be some details on top and bottom that will be cut out, which is not really a great solution for me. So for its aspect ratio in 2019, it is still very ideal, and overall, the screen of the iPhone 6 Plus is very much still good for 2019. So the next spec is the storage. It has a base storage of 16 gigs. In 2019, I do not recommend buying the phone with 16 gigabytes as it is pretty much very small. Technically, you do not enjoy all of the given storage as it will get some system storage, giving you less than 16 gigs. Also, apps, games, and files are becoming heavier due to better quality and graphics. I recommend going for the 64 gigs version in 2019, as 16 gigs is unacceptable even for average or casual users. Next is the camera. It packs an 8 megapixel rear camera with aperture f2.2. For its megapixel, it is still acceptable in today's standards, as newer flagship phones even ship with 12 megapixel cameras. The camera game, as we all know, is not determined by its megapixels, but by its image processing power with every smartphone. And iPhones are known for always being on top on image quality produced. So an 8 megapixel rear camera for me is no slouch and is still recommended for 2019. But if you're someone who would like to take mobile photography seriously, there are better options available like the 7 Plus due to its dual cameras and portrait features. But for a lot of people, the rear camera of the 6 Plus is still very much good and I still recommend it. But for the selfie or front camera, it packs a 1.2 megapixel with an aperture of f2.2. This does not satisfy me personally for 2019, as selfie shots produced are below average. For me, the base megapixel to produce good quality selfies is 5 megapixels. The 1.2 megapixel is too much to handle because of its very grainy and less detailed and overly poor quality outputs. So if you're someone who takes selfies a lot, then I do not recommend this for you. But for a lot of people who rarely use selfie camera or simply use it as a mirror, then it's okay to have this type of selfie camera. So overall, the camera department of the 6 Plus is pretty much average in 2019, but I still highly recommend it for people on a budget or for casual photography. Next spec is its chipset. It packs an Apple A8 chip. In this department, I am somewhat hesitant to recommend long term as this chip is turning 5 years old. This means in several years, it won't be able to run programs smoothly. But I can recommend this for people who plan to use the phone this year and next year the most because as of the moment, it still performs smoothly with several hiccups once in a while. But overall, the chipset as of the moment is still very recommended in 2019 for people on a budget and casual users who only use their phones for surfing, social media, music, and light games or programs. Next spec is battery. It packs a 2915 milliamp hour battery. In today's standard, this is quite small, but as we all know, Apple is king in optimizations. Again and again, they prove that having a smaller battery compared to its Android counterparts, having 3000 to 4000 are similar in performance, if not better. But we all have different experiences in battery life, and I could not speak for everybody. But in my personal opinion, I still reach 4 hours of screen on time, which is great given that I have this phone for nearly 3 years with me. It's no secret that the battery management of Apple is great, but with no disrespect to Android. I just find Apple to be more battery efficient, and Apple does not need huge battery to last you a day. Overall, I still recommend having the iPhone 6 Plus in terms of battery, but with its battery health beta feature, always look for a unit having a battery health of 80% and above. I do not recommend getting a brand new iPhone 6 Plus and would rather get a used one and replace the battery for $79. This is better in this price point than getting a new mid-range phone. Next spec is the software. It is currently running the latest version of iOS, which is iOS 12.1.2. I'd like to emphasize this area of my review, the software department, because this is where Apple shines. Its software update is better than any operating system present because typically other phones would get the latest updates for only 2 years. Let's take my Galaxy S9 as an example. It is still the latest Galaxy phone out there as of the moment, but it is currently running a generation lower of Android OS, which is the Android Oreo. For sure, some of the US Galaxy users have gotten the Android Pie update, but for the others like me outside the US, you still need to wait for months. What bums me is that the S9 is the latest S version, but even though it is what it is, the updates are horribly slow. By the way, this is the typical trend of Android phones. By the way, I refer to Android phones in the software department as they are the counterpart of iOS. So this is where iPhones shine, even old ones. Software updates are on time. Heck, even the iPhone 5S, which will turn 6 years this year, is still receiving the latest iOS 12. This means more security updates, bug fixes, and update software for years to come. So, if you're someone who is on a budget and would want to maximize your phone for years to come, I highly recommend the iPhone 6 Plus for its software alone. Second to the last spec is the RAM. It packs a small 1 gigabyte of RAM. In today's standard, this is very small. And although Apple is king in optimization, 1 gig of RAM is still not enough, as apps and games are becoming more and more RAM hungry. Even simple multitasking or switch in between apps, there will be a small hiccups and lags. This is due to the small RAM of the iPhone 6 Plus. Again, this is still acceptable for people on a budget. And to be fair for Apple, this phone is almost 5 years and still runs very decent even on hardcore apps and games. So for the RAM, it is okay in 2019 as long as it is used only for light apps and games. Finally, the last spec is its build and design. It packs the classic iPhone build, a front glass and aluminum back. The aluminum is the first gen or 6000 series, which we all know is famous for the Bengate issue. A lot of people are experiencing Bengate because its aluminum is not as strong as the next generations, wherein when you put too much force in it, it bends. This might be quite an issue for some, but then again, when we revisit an old phone that is almost 5 years, we can disregard this and just handle the phone with care. Anyway, whatever phone you have, if you just handle it with love and care, it will last you a long time. For its design, it packs the classic Apple look with large bezels. That is frustrating for a lot of people because its design is outdated. But for me, who plays a lot of games on my phone, having these bezels enable me to have a good grip on my phone. And for me, the design is never outdated, and I find the design timeless. Having the classic Apple look will always give me a luxurious feeling, even though it is quite old. And most importantly, its aluminum build is ideal for me than the glass back because whatever type of glass you put on it, glass is still glass and will break and shatter with one naked fall. In contrary, the aluminum build, even on the roughest fall, will just scratch and dent, but no major damage. This for me is ideal, and the trade-offs of less premium look is better than having to worry of any apparent fall. Even on cases, glass backs still sometimes shatter, so there is no assurance of durability as long as it is glass. So overall, here are my final thoughts on the iPhone 6 Plus in 2019. It is very much a solid phone to get, even in 2019. Getting an old iPhone is ideal because, first and foremost, you get a huge price cut from the original price, while still enjoying quality, features, and latest updates. The price point of old iPhones are similar to mid-range Android phones, but the quality you get is still flagship. You just need to replace the battery and you're good to go. Also, in terms of longevity, this phone still has a long way to go and may still last even up to 3 years from now. So getting the iPhone 6 Plus in 2019 is not too late. So that is my review of the iPhone 6 Plus in 2019. Hope you like my video and please like and subscribe for more content like this. And also, please comment for any suggestions or reactions. Thanks again guys and see you!